The Godspell, preserved in the Hebrew language under the letter Wa. There is only 10 words that begin with the letter Wa. First one, H2051. Captive, enter activity. Captive, spirit imprisoned. Captive, secured. Captivity cultivates person. Captivity work cuts off covenant head. Captivity tongue door. Captivity activity works spirit. Captivity speak turns work. Captivity feeds life work. Captivity feeds covenant work. The word God comes from the Hebrew word H1409, which means in a sense of distributing, fortune, or troop. The translation of God, the G and the D, is the pit door, as in Holocaust pit, used to kill and redistribute fortune. And that is the use of the ancient Godspell. Now, if you read what is known today as the Holy Bible, which would better be called the Hagios Babel, and Hagios means Holocaust, so it could be called the Holocaust Babel, and that's what's being discussed in the Godspell is the Holocaust Babel of the captive person. The person is captured, they witness Holocaust, which is the killing of people, innocent people, and they're thrown into a pit of fire, and this puts fear into the captive, and that's how they are controlled. That's how their language is groomed. That's where we have the story Babel from, and Babel is about a person's language. Babel is B-B-L, and that's why the word Bible was used, because the three consonants B-B-L is in the word Bible, and there's a couple of vowels. The way the Hebrew language works is essentially vowels, and then there was an addition of what's known as vowel pointers that were put within the figures that were used as letters after the pictograph time. So there you have it, as the Godspell. It's a real spell, and the Holocaust Babel is also about the Godspell. You see, has never been an ending of the Godspell. Now, it has been changed, it has been altered, it has been renamed. Now people look at the Holy Bible as being the Gospels, and the Gospels is the word that came from Godspell, obviously in the form of deception, so people wouldn't understand that it was a spell, that it was magic, that it was witchcraft. But it serves the same purpose as this Godspell, the Wa, which is the same thing. And it's about capturing a person. It's about changing their religion. It's about teaching them a new tongue. It's slavery is what it is. And the way that it's used most of the time nowadays is through things like peer pressure, which are other members in the religion, or society pressure. But it's the same thing. It's still the pit door. You know, the name God was put over a lot of the ancient names, such as El, Elohim, and they were the pit door. They were the ones in control of who went in the Holocaust pit, who was killed and burned up in a fire. Now, today's notion in the Holy Bible, it's all It's a myth. It's not real. It's in the minds of people, and they talk about this supernatural place known as heaven and supernatural place known as hell. Hell is the pit. It's the description of the actual pit that used to be used many years ago over in that ancient lands. In Jerusalem there was a garbage pit known as the Lake of Fire. And you're probably familiar with hearing the name Lake of Fire because it's in the book of Revelation. And what you would understand, be taught, be told about the Lake of Fire is that's where people go after they're dead and they're burned up and they're tormented and it's torturous. But the Lake of Fire was a real place. It was a fire pit where not only garbage was burnt, but political prisoners that were killed, and sometimes not even killed, just tortured and thrown out in that fire pit. It's the same thing. It's the same description. Now, when those writings were first written about the Lake of Fire in the Bible or the Bible, it had a serious meaning. It was really in the minds of the people because there was a real possibility of that actually happening in the real world, in the real life, not the afterlife, not the afterworld or underworld or hell, heaven, whatever you want to call it. But this is the same concept as the Godspell on how to capture somebody. And the way that they capture it is the person doing the capturing is in control of the pit door. They're the ones, through language at this point in time, are deciding who it is that goes in the pit, such as hell, used to be Holocaust, a real pit, or who doesn't go in the pit, who goes to heaven and has it good. Heaven has a meaning also. It's an old English word, and it came from the word Theophan. And Theophan, using the same ancient translation methods of the other pictographs, means secret speech activity. And that's what these people were engaged in, was secret speech activity. And the people in charge of the pit door, whether it be Holocaust of the original time or today, where people are deciding who it is that goes to heaven and who it is that goes to hell, they're engaged in a secret language activity because they're not being honest. And it's really that simple. So yes, you call yourself a Christian, you call yourself a Jew, you call yourself a Muslim, it's all the same. It's all the Godspell, and it's a very ancient spell, and it's just been changed and modified to a point of language. Now we look over in the Middle East now, and there's a group that came forward known as ISIS. ISIS is a word, a name that means Jesus. If you look at some of the languages over in the Middle East, I don't have those names off the top of my head, but you'll look at them, you'll see that ISIS was the name that is the same as Jesus. And in the Muslim religion, they believe that Jesus was supposed to come forward for judgment time. Well, these people have decided that not only to use that name, but to cast judgment on other people and do the same thing as the ancient Holocaust, which is killing people. It's murder. People don't call it murder because they wrap it in religion. You know, the people that read the Holy Bible, they call themselves good people nowadays. They call themselves Christian, yet they agree with the atrocities that are in the Bible. And I'll use the example of Moses and the golden calf. When Moses brought the 10 Commandments down, and Moses did not like what the people were doing, that there was a golden calf made, which his partner Aaron made it. He turned around and he ordered, not only did he break the commandments physically, he broke the commandments of thou shalt not kill, and he ordered the killing of 3,000 people. The people who carried out the killing were the religious leaders. They were the Levites, the Levies, whatever, however you want to pronounce it. It had always been the religious people in charge of the pit door, in charge of the killing, in charge of the Holocaust. People have to know the truth, and that's all I'm doing here, is trying to spread the truth for you.